Well, this week, like last week, Dave Pack and I have been talking about humility. And one of the verses that I mentioned briefly last week comes from the book of James. And it talks about humbling yourself in the sight of the Lord. And so I decided to ask two of my grandsons, who are 9 and 12, what it meant to them when I read these verses. Scripture says, God opposes the proud, but shows favor to the humble. Submit yourself then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. And then it goes to verse 10 in James 4. Humble yourself before the Lord, and he will lift you up. So I asked these two young scholars what that meant to them. And one of them said, well, he thought it meant that you are supposed to be nice, and that when you disagree with somebody and they disagree with you, you should just end the fight and be humble, because your friendship should matter more than the fight. And then the other one said, well, if you want to not have the devil be part of what you're doing, then you need to learn to trust God. And when you think you're right too often, you need to walk away from that. So I thought that those were pretty profound words. And I do believe that that is what James is saying as he's talking to this group of people about submitting yourself before the Lord. It's not always easy. And in our society, it's such a difficult time to want to be right and to want to feel like you have the right to stand up for your perspective and what you believe in. But what James is saying, and what we've been trying to say this whole time when it comes to humility, we're talking about being humble in the sight of God. And that means admitting that you don't always have to be right. That you, as James says, and as one of my grandchildren said, when you need to fight just to be right, then you are letting yourself be controlled by the devil. Now, that was a childlike way of saying what James is saying. Resist the temptation to need to be right, even if you feel like you are. If giving your opinion could sever a relationship with someone else. I'm not talking about being silenced by a vocal majority or a vocal minority. I'm talking about being willing to ask yourself in your heart and mind, Lord, is this battle worth it? Or is this a place where I should just humble myself and let you lift me up? Because one of my grandchildren said, and I believe it, if you stop fighting to show you're right, God will fight for you. So, humble yourself before the Lord and let him lift you up.